Welcome to the next ANIMJAM podcast. Today we're going to talk about software, which is a pretty wide discussed topic, I think, for most people, because you can never decide, well, at least for me, I can never decide which software to learn, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, when you're getting into the industry,
Yeah.
I remember always Googling the like forums,
Yeah,
and now like nowadays I still Google like Reddit, like what's the best renderer, what's the best
exactly. Yeah.
VFX program,
Yeah. And you never
even
have
though we're in the
time to learn it.
industry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You would never have time to learn it, but you're still intrigued about, oh, what's the best? It's kind of like, I guess, like a car, or like a laptop or computer model. You're just like, oh, I just need to have the best.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
You want to
I
know the best. You want to be the best at the
yeah,
best program.
exactly. The up and coming programs. But I think when I was at school, so when I was at TAFE, I remember one of the teachers specifically saying, like, just use whatever the industry is using, because that's the fastest way for you to get a job, or the easiest
Yeah,
way, so you
that's
don't have
true.
to learn on the job, right? So I guess, yeah, for animation that would be Maya. And was that the first 3D software that you used, or?
No, I think I used Max, but I used
Oh,
Max a
wow.
long time ago, like
Yeah.
before I studied 3D, before I got in the industry. And I was just mucking around with Max back in the day when it was like Warcraft 3 days,
Oh
and
my
then I
God,
wanted to make models.
wow, you used it like during, wow, that's like, okay, so Warcraft
Yeah,
3, like Frozen Throne era, or the original
no, it's
Warcraft
like
3?
It was like
Reign of
the
yeah,
rain
Reign
era.
of Chaos
Yeah,
or something. Yeah.
Reign of Chaos. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. That's so
maybe.
long ago now. But
Yeah.
yeah, I remember using it to make swords and stuff. I wanted to like import those models into the game because
Yeah.
they had the map builder and everything. So, and I remember that's kind of like how I got into like
Oh, wow.
a bit of 3D. Yeah.
Dude,
So it wasn't like,
I didn't even know 3D at that time. I was playing like Warcraft, but I didn't even imagine, like, oh wow, that's a long
yeah, I
time
think
ago.
I wanted to be a game dev because I was making maps and stuff. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is really enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I kind of stopped. But yeah, like 3DS was the first. 3DS
Okay.
is kind of like, it's kind of been like shelved now by Autodesk in a lot of ways. Like they've
Yeah.
just not really been focusing much on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's sort of like how XSI was, right? Now it's like Maya just ate it up. And now they don't even
Yeah,
support it.
yeah. And then they
So,
took like Bifrost, I think, like
yeah.
the node system in XSI, and they're trying to put it in Maya. I think
Yeah.
it's like early days for it still. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can use it kind of like, it's kind of like Houdini now, I think, in Bifrost,
Oh,
where you
wow.
use like a procedural node thing to
Okay.
build like simulations and stuff. But I
Okay.
haven't played around with it. It's like a new feature, I think,
Yeah.
that they're trying to promote. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think, yeah, I feel like the same will happen with 3DS, where like Maya will just slowly eat it. It's gonna
Hmm.
become like the
Yeah.
supreme
Yeah.
3D application.
Yeah, it definitely is
That's
like,
if
sorry, go ahead.
that's if a Blender doesn't get there
Yeah.
first. But
Well, for animation specifically, I definitely think um, Maya is still like, maybe because I'm used to it. So I'm playing around with Blender right now, but the intuitiveness for animation in Maya is just so much more. It's just so much more intuitive, like, in how you use Maya. But like I
do you
said,
think that's
it could just
like
be that
because
I've been using it for so long, right? But I've used
yeah,
other animation software like XSI and stuff like that. And like they all have the same formula, I would say, and it doesn't like stray too far. But Blender, it's pretty different, and I think maybe after, when you get used to it, you'll be really fast at it. But for now, it's pretty, like, there's a lot of things that just prohibit you from working the most efficient. Like, it feels like you can't just create right now. Well, for me, I can't just animate. I have to have to go through a lot of loopholes to just produce the same amount of animation as
Yeah.
Maya. So,
What do you think are like some of the biggest things that you miss? Like one of the biggest limitations?
mm, uh, so for example, like something really simple, next frame, previous frame, next key, previous key, right? For Blender, it's the arrow keys on the keyboard. So that's like the other side of the keyboard. So that like really makes it slow for you to, you know, set key and then if you want to like because we always flip between frames, right? So
Yeah.
that make like if you have to keep going over to the other side of the keyboard and use the arrow keys and come back to move, rotate, scale, like that's a lot. Like that's not intuitive at all. And you can
Yeah.
change the hotkeys, right? But Blender, why Blender is so good in the first place, or why it intrigues certain people, is because they have a good, like they have a pretty, I guess, modern or a modern take on navigation. So if
Yeah.
you change one of the hotkeys, it could change Blender's native hotkeys, which totally destroys the reason why some people use Blender. Uh, so yeah, it's kind of like getting used to Blender and figuring out, oh, what can you take off the Blender hotkey list? Or like,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, it's a lot of those kind of things. So for example, set key is S in Maya, right? In Blender, it's I.
Oh, that's really far.
Yeah, that's
I
really
don't know
far.
if I could
Yeah,
get
and
behind that.
and set key, like I know this is getting really specific, but like set key in Maya is sets all the channels. So
Yeah.
translates, rotates, scales, visibility. But in Blender, when you press I, it's like a list that's like location, location, rot, scale, whatever. And every time you press I, you have to click, you have to select which ones you want, which is really annoying.
Right. Is
Yeah,
there a way to change that, you think? Or is that like kind of
there is, but I don't think it's like a foolproof way. But I'll go
right?
into that more in, I guess, in my Blender series. But yeah, I'm still like learning a lot about it. Um,
That's interesting.
yeah,
I've come to like, yeah, appreciate Maya's like keys because I've gotten
yeah,
so used to it. And then
yeah.
like going over to other programs, I kind of miss some of it, like Houdini.
Hmm.
They Houdini is very similar in a lot of ways. Like I think they try to keep a lot of things
Yeah,
from like how Maya does it. They try to keep it the same. I think
yeah,
maybe they're trying to just like take people from like Maya over to Houdini,
yeah,
make it as seamless as possible. But
yeah.
there's a few small things like they swapped around the manipulator hotkeys. So
Hmm.
instead of WERT, it's like T is for translate
Hmm.
and R is for rotate and E is for scale,
Oh wow,
which
that's
makes sense,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But like coming from like Maya, like having used it for so long,
yeah,
you're just like you're hitting the wrong things. You're like, I want to like translate, and you hit
yeah,
W and it doesn't do what you want. You're like, oh no,
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
the wireframe key.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally, yeah, that's like, yeah, it all makes sense. Even like Blender, it's like grab, you use G, rotate
yeah.
R, scale S, right? This all makes sense. And I guess Maya has just messed us up where it's like, but I get it. They were trying to use
That's
QWERTY,
funny.
right? They're trying to like use
They try to keep it to
QWERTY.
QWERTY, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But then it
So,
makes sense because like T is translate. I think Maya is the only one that kind of does it in a weird way. But it's a weird way in the way that like once you get used to it, it makes a ton of sense.
and you know why it's like everybody buys into it? It's because like everybody, I think, in the industry um, plays at least like a game. And that freaking W, it's like your hand is naturally on that WASD, like, it's just like
Yeah,
glued to it, So it's like,
yeah.
so they're like,
Somebody should
yep,
just
move
make a
tool.
program based off like gaming hotkeys.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like a first
Gaming
person
conventions.
shooter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So when you're animating, you're just like
yeah,
super quick. You're almost like shooting people. You're playing
yeah,
like FPS.
yeah, exactly.
That'd be
Yeah, I mean that's only
that'd be
like I'm
fun.
like that's why it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Actually, I remember watching a video a while ago about Freddie Wong
Oh
and
yeah,
how he edits. And then I remember he was like saying like he bound all his keys to the left side of the keyboard
yeah,
in like in Premiere.
Premiere. Yeah.
So when he's editing, it is like he's playing an FPS. And then watching him edit is like, whoa, he's playing FPS for reals. He's just hitting buttons and the timeline's just shifting, it's moving and things are
uh,
connecting. It
it's
looks
like
so cool. And I was like, damn, that's
it's
how
a,
I want to edit.
I'm microing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Funny enough, like Freddie Wong's the guy from Rocket Jump, right?
Yeah, he's the rocket jump guy.
I literally watched a video of his today.
Oh yeah.
Because I was
What was it
watching.
about?
There's a channel that was like it's like VFX artists, and they
Yeah.
talk. The VFX artists react to these films, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
he was
I
in one of
remember.
the
Like I've been
these
watching
talk.
those
Yeah,
videos too.
yeah, and he was in one of the. I guess they were chatting. They were just discussing stuff on their podcast, I guess. And then yeah, he came up, and yeah, I was like, I never watch him, so it's just funny that you said you watched him, and then he I just saw him
Yeah.
today. Yeah,
He was kind of like the OG, like indie
YouTube.
VFX guy, on
Yeah,
YouTube. He
yeah,
was just doing his own thing. He kind of made it on his own.
yeah.
Maybe he's a good person to model for wanting to be indie. But yeah,
Well, he actually said that one thing that he could do again is to go back and like sort of go the Hollywood path a little bit because it's
yeah,
all about, because whenever he was saying how everybody view because he's YouTube, like everybody, whenever he goes tries to get a director job or whatever, people just view him, oh, it's YouTube, it's for kids, like,
yeah.
or
It's for
it's
amateurs.
amateurs, yeah. So
But
I was
yeah,
like,
I guess that's a
yeah,
tough thing to break.
yeah,
Like
exactly,
I met a guy who worked on set, and I worked with him for a little bit,
yeah,
and he worked on set for like like Marvel films and stuff like that. It
mhm.
was kind of like the on set. He was part of the VFX team, but they do like captures where they capture 360 HDRs,
Okay,
and
yeah,
then that's what we use to like kind of reconstruct the set
mhm.
digitally. But he was saying like everything is unionized. There's like guilds and stuff. There's like a lot of like barriers of entry to get into like a full, production. So you can't just like crew up like out of the blue.
Oh,
There's, actors have unions, writers have unions,
yeah,
like even on-set people like grips,
hmm,
gaffers, everybody has a union. So like you can't just
oh,
crew up and you need to go through like the traditional channels and
oh,
get like, like the producers on board, and
mhm.
they have to go through like all this, like this whole process of just recruiting the right people for you to be on the shoot. And
Wow,
you have to have like caterers. It's like a huge thing, right? There's a lot of old, what do you call it, like old world stuff that's
hmm,
built into the movie industry that is just like it's really hard to just get in,
yeah,
as a fresh guy
yeah,
without going through the traditional, channels to
yeah,
like make something like at that scale, get that funding.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I can totally like understand the struggles that he
yeah.
has.
I can't imagine going through like I would just be like, man, that's too tough. That's too much time wasted. You know?
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
too slow in a lot of ways. Like
yeah,
by the time you're like ready to shoot, it feels like,
yeah,
I'm sure someone like Freddie, he could have done like 20 things by the time he's ready to shoot like one
yeah,
actual
yeah,
big budget, full on production. So
yeah. Thanks for watching or listening to our content. If you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks again. Peace.